Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends. Once again, it is the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky, and with me as always is the maestro of mail order mysteries, Eddie Guevara. Today, our returning guests are Chuck Caputo and Dr. Roberto. Everybody,
right.
How's it going tonight?
Okay, pretty good.
Buongiorno.
Awesome. So before we get into our discussion tonight, we're going to go through our real quick. Man, I got the email today of some great news, so I couldn't wait to come on here to share it. Perfect timing. Stupid Comics Magazine number 5 is ready for order, and the cover is fantastic. It's like a Frankenstein cover with it shows the Frankenstein monster with a dunce cap on. It says it's alive and it's stupid. So Madcap Monster Parade, 8 pages of creature feature laughs, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. So it looks absolutely fantastic. So head over to stupidcomicsmagazine.com and check out number 5. And if you haven't grabbed any other issues, they have all 6 now available because they started off with number 0. So, and they are fantastic comics magazine. It's all in black and white comedy, a little mixture of cracked, mad, and Far Side all rolled into one. So definitely check them out. I'll be ordering my issue number 5 and can't wait to read through it. All right, our next one, we have our buddy Dave Haversat's 1878 pressed up for all your magic and hypnotist books needs. So check them out. He has a huge selection there to browse through. Also, our buddy Todd Machin over at sea-monkeys.com has all your underwater sea monkey needs, from aquariums. He got puzzles, t-shirts, postcards, regular cards, anything that you can need. They have it there. Check them out, definitely. Also, our buddy Chuck Caputo is on YouTube under his wife Sherry Caputo. That's Cheri Caputo. He has some great magic videos there. You can also find him along with my videos and Eddie's videos on House of the Unusual on YouTube. So check out our channel, subscribe to him, like our videos. We're pumping out new videos every week. Several are coming out. Cryptic Classics. We have Chuck's Corner and a whole bunch more surprises for you. Also, mymoviemonsters.com. Scary Monsters number 123, the harrowing haunted Halloween issue, is now shipping. It should be out at stores. I know my local Barnes & Nobles just got them in, and it's an absolutely fantastic magazine once again. The cover is great. It's a glow-in-the-dark cover, as we've discussed before. Scott Jackson did an amazing job once again on it. Also on the mymoviemonsters.com, if you need some back issues of Scary Monsters or you're looking for any other horror, sci-fi, fantasy-themed magazine, check their products out. They have a whole ton of them, along with some toys, some model kits, and all that good stuff. And last but not least, if you're looking for some movies to watch and you're not sure what to go to, the Monster Channel is always streaming 24/7 various movies from underground horror hosts, both old and new. So definitely check them out. And that's it for our friends and friends of the podcast and House of the Unusual this week, man. We got a whole bunch and we're continuing to grow. So if you have something that's really cool and you would like us to showcase it on the podcast, get a hold of us at houseoftheunusual.com. And while you're there, join our free forum. We got some great conversations there. People are always showing off their cool collectibles, asking questions, and just having a good time. So that's all we got on that end. So we're going to turn it over to Chuck. Chuck, what's new, brother?
Man, hey, keeping real busy with magic shows. It's been nonstop all the way through. I'm working until October 30th, I think, all the way through. And you know what? I've been doing a lot of outdoor festivals. It's been really cold here in Pittsburgh until about maybe 2 in the afternoon. Then it gets crazy. It goes up to about 70 degrees, but it's been really chilly out here in the mornings. And but yeah, I've been keeping very busy. I've been doing a lot of spooky magic in my shows. It's been a blast.
Awesome. This is the time of year for it too, man. Where's your next show coming to?
I got actually, you know what? I've been doing a lot of seniors type of shows too, like luncheons during during the week. So like I've been doing one a day pretty much. And
Oh
then
wow.
Saturday, yeah, and then I have a festival Saturday outside somewhere. I can't remember exactly where right now. And then one Sunday as well. So it's been crazy, man.
Well, hopefully you have some good weather and it doesn't get too cold. I'm over here in Northeast Ohio, so right by you over in Pittsburgh, and yeah, that it's pretty nice during the day, but once that sun goes down, man, that temperature really drops. I think
It
the other
does.
night it got down to 39.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we have some nice weather too. This weekend is Monster Bash. I've been waiting, man, for a while because they canceled last year's Monster Bash in June and October. And then this year they had the little Monster Bash in June at the Vandergrift Drive-in, which I know you're familiar with, Chuck.
Yeah,
And
I'd like to pop in there next time. Was that in June, I think, right?
yeah, they just had something small there a couple weeks ago too, that with some I believe it was some 70s horror movies. So they do a lot with the Vandergrift, and it's kind of far for me to get to all the time, but I'd like to start going out there more, man. They had their staff out there was absolutely fantastic, and they couldn't have been more wonderful, and it was just it was a great time, man. All of us monster kids getting together under the
Yeah.
stars and watching
Yeah,
movies.
I'd definitely like
Can't
to
beat
check
it.
it out because you know what, drive-ins are becoming a thing. When I was growing up as a kid here, we had I had three of them right in my neighborhood. It was like right down the road from each other. They're all gone. I mean,
Yeah. So if anybody's hearing this, before this weekend, they are having the Monster Bash conference at the DoubleTree Hotel in Mars, PA. It's October 22nd to the 24th. Tickets are $20 at the door, or $50 for all 3 days. And there's a ton of movies, a ton of guests, and the dealer room is absolutely huge. I mean, they always have some great stuff there. I mean, there's stuff there for everybody that you can find, from movies, toys, collectibles, statues. They even have a few people that come in and do their own artwork and everything. So, it's really, even if you could pop in for a day, man, it's definitely worth checking out. And even some of the classic actors and actresses that'll be there signing autographs.
definitely.
Well, guys, ready for this? We're waiting for the big, exciting news that's coming up ahead. Well, here's the first thing I want to tell you guys. First of all, Chiller is coming this week to my area, which I'll be attending as well. But the better news is, after looking at the amount of people that are listening to us and seeing what age group they are, we have a majority of listeners between the ages of 65. So it's good because we're getting a couple of younger. There's I think 20% are between the ages of 25 and 42, which is up a few percentage from a couple of months ago. So this is fantastic. But anyway, today I spent with Mr. Dr. Robert Boragian right there, who's standing on there here to come up a couple of seconds from now. Right, Doc? But anyway,
Here we go. Yeah. We had a great day today.
We spent all day today recording videos on health, on cooking, and a few things that I think House of the Unusual might get once a week, a little video for those people that are following us that can get some healthy tidbits on how to cook and stuff like that. Because what better than watching Crypto Classics and being able to make your own healthy pizza or healthy whatever popcorn without having to be in the movie theater gouging down soda and popcorn, hurting yourself, right?
That's awesome news. Hey, Doc, can you kind of give us a little insight on the videos you guys recorded today, and maybe some tips for our listeners out there? I know I'd definitely be interested in, I'm always interested in cooking and eating healthier and all that. So let's hear it from the expert.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, what's the hardest thing to do for people? What's the hardest thing to do?
Wake up in the morning.
Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. My wife keeps nudging me. You got to get up. It's getting late.
Yeah, getting out of the bed and out of the covers.
Oh my God! Especially in the wintertime.
How about stopping sugar, cutting out sugar? That's a hard thing for me.
No, here's the hardest thing to do, and this is what mankind's problem is. It's hard to change behavior. So I'm wondering, why is it so hard to change behavior? Because I think once you figure out how to do something, you just keep doing it. Like a deer learns how to, eat grass, but somebody comes and knows how to run away. So it's something like it gets permanently impregnated in your brain. So to undo that is a lot of work. So it's like whatever's helping you function, you keep that in the permanent part of your brain, like a fear or something like that. Like you come near the edge of a cliff. Well, I'm not supposed to go any further. You put your hand on fire. You'll never do it again. So it just came to me. That's the hardest thing to do, is to change behavior. And so to change eating habits, it's very difficult because you get used to eating something. So what we did was, so you just came up with a very simplistic menu. You have to find out what to eat, which takes a lot of work. So if you could find 10 things to eat that won't make you sick, and then you get used to those, when you go off that diet, you're not going to tolerate food because your body adjusts to it. It's healthy things. So like today, like I don't eat pizza usually. We're making pizza and I'm eating everything in sight, which I usually don't do. Well, after about 20 minutes, I wasn't feeling so good. And so I told the other guy we're cooking, this guy, Andrew, I said, Andrew, I don't usually eat like this, and I don't feel so good right now. My body started to reject it. So that's what our whole eating program is about, learning to re-eat. So really, if you learn to eat right, it's like putting the right kind of gas in your car. You put the wrong fuel in your car, it's not going to function properly. So you got to learn to eat right. So we'll give you 10 things to eat that are healthy for you, won't make you sick. You get used to it. Your body and your brain start to work better. And then you won't go back to having bad habits anymore. So you got it?
Yeah, definitely. You will not be a Frankenstein that will not come to life.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to know. Did you guys develop a sandwich called the Eddie?
The Eddie.
Oh my! Well, let me tell you the even better part. Andrew, the co-host of Mr. Boyard, is the president of a local, and he has over 1,100 or I think 1,200 members. And they just gathered today a few, like another 600-700 members. So they have several sites throughout New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. The good thing is all those people are going to be listening to us. As we grow, those people will become our customer. Our friends. They'll be listening to House of the Unusual. Fantastic. So House of the Unusual will be the place to bring Frankenstein back to life.
Right.
You can have Dr. Igor come and help us out once in a while. You'll have Crypt of Classics, and you'll be able to eat healthy with Dr. Boyage's recipes.
Oh, you mean like save the universe?
We can save the universe.
Yeah, we're all a shared universe.
Everybody will be happy and healthy.
And Star Trek, William Shatner, we will be able, at the age of 90, go up into space.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think he really took great care of himself, but he made it to 90. That's it.
He made it, yeah.
Yeah, well, he don't look too bad for being 90 either.
Yeah, that's not his real hair,
He's got 2 shows on TV right now. So it's not just that he went up to space. He's actually doing 2 shows, and one of them is kind of like In Search Of.
It's the unexplained or something like that, isn't it?
Something like that. So, let's give the guy, Caduceus.
What was that other show? He was at a cop show. Wasn't he on some cop show too?
Yeah, that was back in the 80s.
It was that cop show.
Hooker, TJ Hooker, I think.
Oh. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. You go from being Star Trek captain to a cop. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah. But then when the Star Trek, the Star Trek movies came out, he was Admiral. So he went to Admiral status.
I got a question for the doc here, and I'll kind of start it off with a little kind of like a story here, because you might be able to help. You actually might be able to help out a lot of our listeners out there, and I'm sure Eddie's come across this, and you guys that attended conventions always come across this. And every time I've gone to a monster convention or a comic convention, you see a lot of people there, and they're not usually the healthiest looking people, and they're always eating candy bars, hot dogs, pop all day long. And, if you're there for 2 or 3 days,
right,
you're really eating a lot of junk food at these places. Right. So for those people out there that, kind of think that there's, really no options out there. And I always tell people, bring some. It's fine to eat that stuff in moderation, but you could also bring your own food to these places. So what would be your recommendation for, say like somebody going to a convention for 3 days that thinks, oh man, I got to eat hot dogs and fries and pop for the next 3 days. What would be your advice to them for something like that?
We never say pop on the East Coast. We call it soda.
Oh, you guys are soda.
And I never drink soda, right? So I went with my daughter the other day. Went to there's a health food store, and they had this natural root beer. I said, this is really good. So I drank it one day. Then I said, I want to get another day. And I said, that's it. I'm done with it. Because the crap is just no good for you. It's like, I don't know. I think in America, the biggest business is making people sick. And that's very disturbing as a doctor. So I had to, for myself, I had to figure out how to get healthy. And then you could teach this to others. I don't know. It has sugar, fat, and salt have an addictive quality. Like it didn't exist in the ancient world. So it was very hard to get. Salt was as good as gold. So we have an addiction to it. There was no sugar around either. So we have an addiction to that because it gives you energy, and fat gives you the most energy. So that's like the combination, sugar, fat, and salt. You'd find that in a potato chip. That's why nobody could eat just one.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
You have to say to yourself, well, what do I want? Do I want to be sick or do I want to be healthy? So I'm 65, right? So I was like, I'm not going to end up in a nursing home. That's it. I'm going to do what I have to. I'll keep working. I'm going to stay healthy. You know what? If I were the guy in charge, I always wonder who's in charge of the country. I don't know if anybody's in charge. I mean, that was the first thing you do is get everybody healthy. Because if you got everybody healthy, this whole pandemic would have been a very, very bad flu, and that's it. It turned out to be a disaster. It pushed the country over the edge. It really is like a time of war. It's very disturbing to me as a doctor because I see the whole thing as completely preventable. And I grew up in a different time. Can I tell a story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, of course.
Okay. And
hold on, let me get the music. No, go ahead.
This links with all your stuff with outer space crap. So it's Kennedy. It's 1962. And he says, we are going to go to the moon. And we're not going to go because it's easy. We're going because it's hard.
Right.
So this was like, he was like a young guy. They said he was too young, but he had this dream. Mm-hmm. And it was dream to do something. And it really was to change everything. And it was said by the end of the decade, and it actually did happen. So, he was a dreamer, but you don't hear that anymore. And there really hasn't been anybody in the White House since then who wanted to change things. So that's the era I grew up in. That's who I believe in. And that's what my job as a doctor is. Now, first off, you got to save yourself, and then you got to teach other people. So we are very fortunate. Eddie brought somebody to my office last week, or he hooked me up to her. And she's a nutritionist. So I sit down and I talk with her. And within, I asked her a few questions, and I understood she's on the same wavelength as me. So, okay, we could work together. So we got hooked up, and we're talking, and we're producing things. Like we're going to start producing things that help people. So the first client is going to be Eddie.
Listen,
the guinea pig.
Yeah, Joe, you got to see this today.
I go to Walt Disney, but I went to Walt Disney last week.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm there 5 days. I came back 10 pounds heavier.
Yeah, how could you do that? Yeah, I could go there. I couldn't eat anything. So, Joe, you got to listen to this. So we're doing the show today. We're going to make 10 pizzas, and Eddie's going like this. Okay, let's record, but let's get this done. We're only going to do 3 episodes. This way we could talk and have a good time. He didn't want to film anymore. He wanted to hang out. And you know him, once you start talking, that's it. You can't get anything done. I never saw anybody that knows so much about everything. And then his son is there. His son Anthony's there. I said, Anthony, what was it like growing up with him? Because this could not possibly have been a normal childhood. As an infant, he's taking him to Creature Feature.
Like he said, during the night he's watching what was it? The Son of Frankenstein, or what was it he was watching?
So I asked him, I said, do you know anybody else who had a childhood like yours? He says, absolutely nobody.
I could imagine, man. Jeez.
Hey, let me tell you something. We had some fun, and the thing that was interesting about it is that when we did everything that we needed to do, and of course, this was the best part. I see Andrew, and he's slicing some hard-boiled eggs. And they were just like done where the center of the egg is still like kind of like a little soft.
A 4-minute egg, yeah.
Yeah, and the outer part of the egg was, and I was looking at that. I was salivating, man. And I go to him, hey, Doc, listen, I know you're cooking and everything, but where do you put those hard-boiled eggs? And he goes, what do you want? I'm going to have 1 or 2.
I couldn't believe it. We're eating all this delicious stuff, and he wants a hard-boiled egg. Do you remember that movie Angel Heart? It was with Robert De Niro in it. Was in it?
No, I don't recall that one.
It was a really horrible movie, but there's a scene where Robert De Niro is playing like the devil, and he's eating an egg and he's putting salt on it. There's something weird about eggs. I don't know. It's like it has like some kind of evil spirit to it.
Well,
Angel Heart. Really
I tell you what,
horrible movie.
I'm not an egg person, Doc. About 5 years, almost 5 years now, I switched to a vegan diet. So everywhere that I go, and I've always, probably for the last 12 years or so, I don't buy food without going through the whole label, reading the ingredients.
Oh, right. You should.
I mean, I'm very.
What's your problem with eggs? What's your problem with eggs? Because you need protein.
Well, I get, I get a ton. I actually get more protein now than I did when I.
From what source, though?
With beans or something?
Yeah, a lot from beans, like pea protein. I do vegan protein shakes, stuff like that. From fruits, from my.
Do you buy powders and mix them?
Yeah, I do some powder sometimes too. I like to mix it up and all that. But what I found, what was really hard for me, and I was able to adjust pretty well, was when I go to, like, say, Monster Bash in the hotel.
Yeah.
Now I go there for breakfast, and the only thing I could eat is fruit because everything's meat and dairy based.
Right.
And you know what? And I said, oh man, I'm going to be hungry. So I'd get a fruit bowl, and you know what? That would keep me more filled, because I'd have a bowl of fruit, a cup of coffee, and a glass of water. And I felt more energetic. I felt more full. Yeah, and then in the afternoon, I'd have like a little salad and maybe like a side fry.
Right.
And then in the evening, I'd have maybe Chipotle or something like that.
Right.
And I always felt very energetic. And so I was able to, adapt and overcome to what was there. But I see some people, the stuff that they eat all day, and it's like, and I could remember eating like that. And then you're done eating and you're like,
you feel sick.
Yeah, you feel sick. You feel very lethargic.
It's like if you don't smoke and you start smoking, it's very hard to get used to it. But after a while, your body gets used to the toxic effect. It's the same thing with bad food, processed food, junk food. Your body adapts to it. I mean, you could eat food out of a garbage dumpster, but it's not healthy for you. It's almost like
we don't recommend that here at House of the Unusual.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you guys something, because we're talking about all this, and I got to give, like, say for example, I know William Shatner, for whatever. I don't think he eats the healthiest, but another example, because he's now 90, so he's really kicking the age limit there. Let's take a look at one guy that, and the origination of this guy, where he first came in to the movie scene, was in The Creature from the Black Lagoon, where he played, I think, was the scientist. Here's a guy who, and a shout out to Jim and Charlie, because I know they can make a comment on this to me. Clint Eastwood is 90-something years old or whatever, and he just did Cry Macho, the latest movie. He's acting in it, and he's also directing it. So my question is, what happens, Doctor, when some of these people, which I don't know if they eat the healthiest in their life, they get to this astronomical old age without the proper diet? What do you think makes that happen?
Well, some people, everybody has different genetics,
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody can smoke for 50 years and nothing happens to them. Somebody else smokes a pack a day for 5 years, starts getting problems, heart disease, stroke, could set off cancer. I mean, people tolerate it at different levels. There's a lot of factors why you get sick, but food is at the top of the list. What you eat. And the other thing interesting, the less food you eat, the better off you are. Because in the ancient world, there wasn't a lot of food. So people were always kind of hungry. They weren't starving, but they were hungry. So you're kind of meant to be a little hungry all the time. You're kind of meant to be physically active. You're kind of meant to be able to adapt to cold temperatures. Your body adapt. And you were not like all stressed out, because in those days, let's say you're like a caveman or you're in India or something, you know how to get food. You have confidence in yourself. People don't have confidence anymore because they got to go to work. Nobody likes what they do. They're getting abused at work. They're not getting paid enough. It's just like this level of misery where you don't have confidence in yourself. You don't have a good ego anymore. So you don't feel in control of your life. A squirrel feels better than you do. I mean, you don't see squirrels going to psychiatrists, right?
Cow.
Now,
Doc,
how much does stress play in the health of a person?
It's like huge. You can't measure it, but I can tell you it has a huge negative toxic effect on you. Mm-hmm. You can't measure it, because I just don't think it existed the way we have it. It's constant stress.
Oh, it's
And
constant.
it doesn't go, it's like taxes. Like, there's a turtle that lives to be 170 years old. It's in some zoo in Australia. They call it Galapagos. How the hell did it to be 170 years old? It never went to the doctor, doesn't take any medication. Like, I think living things are meant to live a long time, but we make ourselves sick. And that's what my whole practice is. I take care of people's medical problems, but try to teach people, well, you did this, you set this off. And when you see it as a doctor and it's preventable, it's like, it's very disturbing because you could have helped somebody. You could have prevented this. And you just see this all day long. And now I see it in the entire country. It's like, that's my question. It's like, who the hell is in charge?
That's kind of why, I really like doing this podcast, and I like, writing for some magazines, because I know that there are some people, even if it hits one person and it de-stresses them and it takes them away from their everyday worries and all that, then I think we've done our job here, and hopefully that's happening out there.
Absolutely. Hey guys, I tell you,
saving the universe here.
I tell you the thing that works for me. I tell you the thing that works for me. Both of us are gluten free. You know what? I lost.
Oh, absolutely. I'm 100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
And me too.
You know what, Robert? I lost about 30 pounds, man, just by going off the gluten. You know what? And this is coming from a fellow Italian guy. I'm Italian, and I tell you what, I used to eat regular pasta like you wouldn't believe it. About 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with celiac, so it was a matter of choice. I basically had to do it. So my wife and I both went gluten free.
Right.
I tell you though, what, the weight just melted off. I do feel better. I have a lot more energy.
I had digestive problems my whole life, on and off. I didn't know what it was. So one day I'm standing talking to some guy. He said, well, you got to read this book, The Wheat Belly. So I go read it. I tested my blood. I had gluten sensitivity. I didn't have celiac. So I went off of gluten, and then it's very strange because my digestive system improved radically, and I stopped getting knee pain because I used to ski a lot. I still ski. And whenever I got sick, it would go to my knees. I would get these aching pains. It all stopped. And and now I run every day. I don't get any aches and pains. Yeah. So we would go out to eat, and I'd tell my wife, I'd come back, my stomach's killing me. I said, listen to my stomach. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's like there's like all this activity going on down there. It was the goddamn gluten. And I got to say one thing about gluten-free food. Most of it is made with rice and corn and other types of grain that really aren't necessarily good for you. Mm-hmm. So really, if you're sensitive to gluten, you got to get off other grains. Gluten is wheat, bread, pasta. I can't think that I'm half asleep. Eddie had me up all day.
As I say, Doc, you better get your energy up if you're going to be, videoing with Eddie constantly, because he's not going to leave you alone.
Oh my God, it's all day. Joe, have you ever met him? Have you ever spent the day with him?
Sometimes I feel like it.
If you spend a day with him, you can't imagine all the stuff he does in a day.
It's probably I would say probably like the energy of like a 3-year-old kid, right? Just
you'd be
go.
Mentally and physically exhausted. And when he's done with all this, he goes to a secret locker and opens it up. He's got all his toys in there. He's like a one-man entertainment show. His life and mine kept intersecting in strange ways. I think we intersected as children and we never even knew it. But we hang out at the same places. He would come to where I live in New Jersey, and we would go to the exact. And then when I was opening my practice, I went to this store. I was buying some artwork or something to put on the walls. Eddie shows up there. This is 30 years ago. I said, man, what are you doing here? And then after that, our lives kept intersecting. So hopefully this will turn into some positive thing. Right, Eddie?
Oh,
we're going to save the world.
Because it keeps intercepting in all the stores.
It's like nonstop. But Joe, if you spend a day with him, you will be completely exhausted.
I would really, Chuck, you know how some of those, you always see like how that magician Chris Angel, how he prepares for months, for an act. He prepares his mind and body. I'm kind of thinking that's what I would have to do, prepare for months, just mind, body, and soul to spend the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know what it is? He has this tremendous imagination. And it's like, it's all over the map. It's going to all different places.
Yeah,
it's just
sometimes
kind of like the energy. What is it? The Energizer Bunny. It's just like he's nonstop.
But you know what? That's good because there's a lot of studies out there that say, and sadly, that kids lose that imagination, once they enter adulthood because they're so worried about the stresses of life and work and all that they lose their imagination. So it's nice to see that there's still some people out there like all of us here and, all of our other guests that still have that little spark in them.
Yeah, I think we're all kids at heart, man.
What you're saying is 100% true, because if you don't maintain that, I think you lose your creativity, because then you go to work at some job that's very like, it's not inspiring. And the problem is when you work somewhere, you work for somebody else and there's always a glass ceiling. So you never reach your real capacity.
You're right.
So like Eddie is reaching for the stars all the time. Constantly, he's out in the, out in the universe there. He's constantly reaching for something. So the other day I told him this day, I said, Eddie, you already have everything in the world. You got a nice family. They love you. They respect you. You're the king. There is nothing else out there. You go out into outer space, it's all dead. Everything you need is right here.
I'm sure he could find to sell mail order items to Martians on Mars.
Oh, yeah, mail order from Mars.
Let me tell you something.
Do you think if aliens come, they're going to contact him first?
Yes, they're going to want the 7-foot ghost, and they might even have the robot monster plans.
Yeah.
Well, actually, listen to this.
The day the Earth stood still.
No, I came across, and I know, Dr. Boyaj, I know you know what I'm talking about, and I know you, Chuck, as well. You remember the Frontier cabin they used to sell for $1?
Oh, yeah.
It was supposed to be, it fits like 3 kids inside.
Yep.
You remember that, Doctor?
It was a cardboard thing.
No, it wasn't a card. It was a plastic thing you draped over a card table that looked like a Frontier cabin.
Oh, okay.
They used to sell it on 42nd Street. I think was the address in New York City. Well, anyway, I have one. I know I have one from way back when I was a kid.
Right.
I went crazy the other day trying to, see if I can find it, because I'm just kind of curious to see who made it and, how big it was, because I haven't seen it in who knows how many years. But
it's in your locker somewhere. It's in your storage unit.
It's in somewhere. But, later this afternoon, before I was getting ready, I was laying out some new carpet on my floor here.
Yeah.
And organizing, because I'm setting up the entire area here with new items that I've, uncovered from the vaults.
Yeah.
And, it's always fun, because let's be honest, how many people out there are still, reminded of the stuff we grew up with, and how many people are actually selling that original stuff better? Can you even see what it looks like? How many of us are going back in time and go, hey, but you know what? The imagination is the imagination, and I got to tell you, I have a big one.
Yeah.
Eddie, let me ask you something. Is it that you're connecting with your childhood when you were happy? Is that what this is all about?
I think what I like here is what turns me on to this.
You've never been to a psychiatrist, have you?
No, when I was a kid, I was trying to ask my mom to, because I wanted him to teach me how to hypnotize people. That was so funny.
That was the only reason.
The only reason, and that was because I saw the ads in comic book for hypnotists, and I wanted to become a hypnotist. One of the things I'm going to tell you is, and it doesn't matter, what really turned me on to this is the fact that when you looked at an ad, and you imagined in your mind what the ad was, or you designed the product.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
In your mind, there was nothing more exciting than mailing away for that product.
Yeah.
And you kept waiting, no matter how long you wait. Excuse me, it was, 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes you'd be 8 weeks waiting. But the expectation, the excitement to get the product. And I know a lot of people got the product, and, some people put on the internet that they were disillusioned, that they weren't happy. But here's the thing with me, though. Even though I got a product that 90% of the time was not expected, I was so excited getting that product that when I went to sleep, I used to keep it like next to me in my nightstand without opening, because I knew the product was in there. And this was the 7-foot ghost, was one of probably the most exciting product I ever got. And that's why I still have it today. It was just phenomenal. I had a friend that this kid was my age, but whatever he said, he would look at an ad and tell me, what the heck did he know what the hell he was talking about? But, as a 7-year-old kid, I believe whatever he said. And he just blew my imagination to the next level. But I got to tell you one thing. I say this, and this is something that's very important. I won't die without living a life. And
Yeah.
to live a life, you have to look at your inner self, look at your, what makes you tick, what's exciting, and go out there and do it.
That's
Like you
right.
said, Doc, you're in a job and the job sucks. You grow, you have this thing that you never reach. But when you're out there on your own, you can reach. And that's why, with you guys together, like I said to Chuck, House of the Unusual has to be a magic shop, a novelty shop, a place where people come and enjoy their childhood,
Absolutely.
a medical shop where you can get tips on staying healthy. It's a family. That's what I've been trying to do.
We're starting our own country here. We're going to have everybody.
Oh, I think we need to start a new country.
Yeah. Hey,
but here's what I was going to say.
You know what?
Before.
And if
Can
we're going to
go back
start
to science fiction for a minute, or get off of health and go back to science fiction.
Yeah, you know what? Before we get on to science fiction, we're going to stop off on horror real quick because I got this week's Cryptid Classic movie for everyone.
Yeah.
So this week's is Night of Terror from 1933. So this one is definitely, this is probably one of my favorite movies out there. I've seen it tons of times, and it was really hard to try to find the DVD, which I was able to finally purchase it about 2 years ago. So The Night of Terror was released by Columbia Pictures on April 24th, 1933, and is a pre-code horror film starring Bela Lugosi, Sally Blaine, Wallace Ford, and Tully Marshall. It was directed by Benjamin Stoloff, produced by Brian Foy, and written by Beatrix Van, William Jacobs, and Lester Nielsen, from a story entitled The Public Be Damned by Willard Mack. The film has a runtime of 1 hour and 5 minutes, and a little synopsis of it, because I don't want to give too much of it away, because this is one of those stories that it ends with a really surprising twist. So real briefly, the heirs to a family fortune are required to attend a seance at the spooky old family mansion. However, throughout the night, members of the family are being killed off one by one. And like I said, this one has an ending that is absolutely fantastic. And just when you think the movie ends, there's another surprise that you have to stay for, and it's absolutely spooky. It's, these pre-code movies are absolutely fantastic. There's, once the Hays Code hit in 1934, I believe it was July 1st, a lot of the horror stuff kind of really, died down a little bit and got really mundane, but this one really amps it up. There's some great secret passages in it, which I always, gravitate towards. There's a nice, spooky mansion, and this is an all-around fantastic movie. So if you haven't seen Night of Terror, or you haven't seen it in a while, revisit it this week from 1933. It's a pre-code horror movie. Check it out. Go over to houseoftheunusual.com. Let us know what you think of the movie there. And then next week, I'll be doing a quick video review on the movie. So have any of you guys seen this one yet?
No, that sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, man, this is, I'm going to tell you what, man, the ending is, the whole movie's fantastic. It is a great ride, but the ending, there's the ending, and then there's an ending after the ending, which is, it's going to blow your mind, man. I'm telling you what,
check that out.
Joe,
this is great.
Joe, I thought you were talking about you were going to say The Terror from Boris Karloff. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one, but this one's a lot better. This is, like I said, this is one of my favorite movies, and I seen it a few years. You know what? How I stumbled across this is I seen it maybe about 8 years ago at Monster Bash, and I said, "Man, this is fantastic!" And I was trying to find the DVD there. Nobody had it because they either were sold out of it or didn't have it. Couldn't find a good copy of it anywhere. Finally, I was able to come across it, and I've probably watched it 100 times. It is great, man. You guys will love it. So,
how long a movie is it?
What's that?
How long a movie is it?
Hour and 5 minutes. It goes by real quick, and it's a ride from beginning to end. And you'll see too. So if you're familiar with, like the pre-code horror and then the post-code horror, you'll definitely see a difference in here, because it is a much more gruesome and darker movie than those after 1934.
You mentioned Wallace Ford. Was he on Freaks?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up.
I
Well,
think he might have been one of the actors on there. I'm not sure.
Hey Chuck, I got to tell you, man, as a magician, you always got that echo. I like that.
Yeah, it's spooky. Hey, I'm scared over here.
Hey, Doc, I got a question for you, Doc.
Yeah.
You watched all those horror films and stuff, and I know sci-fi, and I know we spoke about Star Trek a few, actually prior to this show. What do you think is, in your opinion, the better of the sci-fi or horror films of the 1950s?
What was
Which
that one I called you the other night I was watching? What was that?
I think that was The Son of Frankenstein.
No. It was something, some woman, she's in an amusement park. It was all in black and white.
Carnival of Souls.
Oh,
And these people are coming out of the water.
Carnival. Oh man,
I love that. I love that movie.
that is a great movie.
And then House on Haunted Hill was on the other night with
Oh,
Vincent
that's
Price.
the best.
I just watched that the other night, Robert. I was just telling Eddie about that. Oh man, that brings
Two
back
great
memories.
ones, man.
Well, I don't know. We saw that when we were kids. It would
Yeah.
like we're in the summertime. It would be rain, so your parents say you can go to the movie. And believe it or not, it was like 30 cents to go to the movie, and it was a double feature. I think it was the House of Haunted Hill and something about something the Wax Man or something.
The House of Wax, probably by Vincent Price.
I think he was in both movies, right?
Oh yeah.
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 Hey,
So
hey,
that's what it was.
Doc, I have to ask you, what did you think of Carnival of Souls?
You know, I kept getting calls. I'm on call every night, so I kept interrupting, and finally I hung up. And of course, Eddie called me 6 times. So I'm asking him, "What is this movie?" Oh, he called me like 5 times a day. Eddie, I'm busy. I'm in a room with a patient. Give me a break.
Oh my!
So did you get to finish the movie?
That was a very.
I never
strange
got to
movie.
see the movie, but then these people were coming out of the water with like if you watch that movie now, like when you watched it as a kid, you got scared. If you watch it now, do you look at it as like ridiculous or what am I scared about? Like the one is on the House on Haunted Hill. It's like lightning outside, it's raining, and you're sitting there saying, okay, this is a complete setup. What's going to happen next?
I tell you what, I still love the movies, and even going back to Carnival of Souls, I know me and Chuck have talked about this before, is that it's a fantastic movie, and the ending is, there's a nice twist at the ending that really makes you think about the whole movie. Am I right, Chuck? What do you think?
It's a very bizarre ending. But you know what? I just watched the House on a Haunted Hill. You know what? I saw it about 20 years ago, and my wife and I just watched it last week, and parts of it, man, were almost funny. It was like hilarious. I love the caretaker. I like the caretaker's. She was a corpse, and she would, she come out with her hands up and her teeth hanging out. Oh man!
Yeah, but I just told Chuck that it reminds me of Grandmama from the Addams Family.
It did. But it was a classic. It was a classic.
Let me tell you something about the House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price, growing up, he was so-so. Okay, whatever. When I realized, and I came to my love of the genre, I realized that Vincent Price was probably the best for his looks and everything that played any monster part.
Oh yeah.
And so his movies are phenomenal. But I'm going to tell you something, and this, I know you guys probably watched The Master of the World, which was a phenomenal. That's when Vincent Price is up in a blimp, and he's like flying over the thing, and he's like taking the world. It's called Master of the World. Phenomenal.
That was a great movie. Is that a Charles? It was a.
The guy from Charles Heston.
Jules Verne. Was that a Jules Verne movie?
Yeah, Jules Verne and Charles Heston.
This was a great movie. It was black and white. It was a color movie from the 60s.
That is correct. And he's up in the blimp. And
yeah.
And that's one of my favorite movies, called Master of the World.
That was me. That was kind of like the Nautilus. It was the opposite of kind of the Nautilus.
Exactly, exactly. But I'll tell you one thing, with the House on Haunted Hill, 11 copies. I have 11 copies of that film.
Well, there was something very distinctive. His voice, Vincent Price's voice, and he was a tall guy too.
Yeah.
And then the mustache, he looked a little sinister.
Yeah, but another phenomenal film is The Bat. And this is funny because Jim, from the hospital, I showed him that I had House on Haunted Hill, a French version of the poster, which is 57 by 63.
Right.
I wound up paying $500 for this poster, which is now selling for like $3,000, right? I said, man, there's a green poster I've seen of The Bat, which is prior to the House on Haunted Hill. And I was like, man, I wish I had it. And Jim goes, Eddie, you have it. I go, what do you mean I have it? And he reminded me, I've been going crazy looking for it. I like to get both of those linen back because you know what? Those two posters are phenomenal. And yeah, Master of the World is an awesome. I know, Joe, you like the Mad Magician.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of you guys know. I mean, you should know this, but Chuck and me been talking about getting Carol Monroe on our show in a future podcast because she's the one that played Victoria in the Dr. Fives, the alias Dr. Fives.
I'm a huge fan of the Dr. Fives movies. Oh, my goodness.
Did you watch those, Doctor?
I don't know which one is that.
That's the one when Vincent Price has an old screwed up face that he was burnt apparently, and then he goes, Victoria. They killed his wife or something. He's trying to keep her alive. He's like, Victoria, they will pay.
He wanted revenge. He wanted revenge to all the surgeons that failed because she died on the operating table. That was made in 1970, and I saw it when I was a kid at the drive, and it scared the hell out of me.
There's two parts to it.
Yeah, there's 1 and 2. Yep.
And then he also did a lot of the Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher, which is a really phenomenal film. I think Vincent Price, in my opinion, plays the different roles, and he does it very well, including, remember when he came in as a vampire in F Troop? The Corporal Aegon was really scared of him. That's another part of Vincent Price that was hilarious. You don't remember? Any of you guys remember that?
No,
I don't remember that. The Hakawi Indians.
Yeah, the Hakawis, but he came to visit, and when he came from Transylvania, and Corporal Aegon was scared because they thought he was a vampire.
They were unbelievable, the Hakawis, and
they were hilarious.
Corporal Aegon, and what was the sergeant's name? What was his name?
Larry Storch. In fact, Larry Storch, I have his number. He's a pretty good old person. I mean,
he's still around.
Yeah, he's still around. He's pretty up in age, though. He's almost 90. He doesn't make any appearances, I don't think, anymore. But I spoke to him not too long ago, actually about a year ago, actually.
Anyway, I came home today. I was exhausted after being with Eddie all day. So I just sat down and I just had a little bit of a beer. And what comes on? The Munsters. I said, I have to watch this.
There you go.
And it was one where Herman Munster is trying to get a job. And he goes to a Chinese laundry. The guy showing him how to do the laundry. I don't remember the rest of it. But there was a big difference between the Munsters and the Addams, because the Addams family was wealthy, right?
Yeah, they were very wealthy, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And the Munsters they didn't have any money because Herman Munster was looking for a job.
Now
he gets a job in a Chinese laundry was too much.
Now here's the big question to start a fight is which one's the better series, the Munsters or the Addams Family?
I prefer the Addams Family. I always liked them.
Chuck, what do you think?
You know what? I guess it's a matter of opinion, but you know what? Personally, I always like the Munsters. I don't know why.
Okay, what about you, Eddie?
Here's the story behind that.
We're just looking for an answer, not a story.
No, the Monsters were always my favorite because the Addams Family was kind of not as funny, a little laid back. But I think the Monsters in many polls outdid the Addams Family.
Really? Well, yeah. I had a thing for Morticia. She was really hot. And I loved when Uncle Fester put the light bulb in his mouth. I thought that was unbelievable.
That was iconic. I love
and then Cousin It. I mean, how about Cousin It?
Hey, how about Thing the hand?
Thing, of course, yeah.
I always liked when Lurch, when somebody would come in the house and Lurch when he would grab the hat off their head and they'd look around like, where the heck the hat go?
The thing that was funny with Cousin It is when he would start eating something and he just ate it. You didn't see a face, a mouth, or anything. You know.
I think Herman Munster was kind of a jolly monster. He was very unusual.
Yeah.
It was in black and white, though, right? Was there?
Yeah, they purposely did it in black and white. The pilot was in color, but it didn't. I don't. They decided to do it black and white. Unless
he was green, wasn't he?
He was green. Yes. That's right.
They would have made it.
I think they made a few movies later on, and they were full color. Remember, Monsters Come Home and a couple other movies.
Yeah. But if you can, that's a series that if it would not have been in black and white, would have been messed up.
So they were competing, those two shows. No,
yeah, they were competing same time. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you something though. When you're talking about all this and Morticia and stuff, if you guys, I don't know if you guys are aware that Dave Harvestad actually owns the rights to the Uncle Fester light bulb.
Oh,
and
cool.
He purchased that from the original, the people that owned the Addams. So he bought that for life. And He told me, because if I don't know if you guys are aware, but a new movie came out, a cartoon movie of the Addams Family. I actually stayed up the other night till 5 a.m. watching it. It's really good. It was phenomenal. Yeah. It just came out a few weeks ago. And Dave goes to me, Eddie, I'm selling like 2 light bulbs an hour. He was going crazy with the light bulbs.
I remember when what was his name? Gomez. He would go in the ticker tape machine. He was always making tons of money on the stocks.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Oh, he say, I'll write you a check. How much you want? 1 million?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then there was Wednesday, the daughter, and the son was Pugsley.
Pugsley.
Yeah, but a lot of you guys don't. Let's see some trivia to see if you guys know. The very first kid ever on television was Uncle Fester. He appeared as the kid with Charles Chaplin. He's the little kid there.
Right.
And Uncle Fester was also the first kid that his parents ripped up all his money.
That's
so he
right.
got, broke. So they came out with that law protecting kids after that. So Uncle Fester, that grandmama, the one that played, I forgot her name, but she was a very famous actress. Mm-hmm. Just like Yvonne DiCarlo. Yvonne DiCarlo was such a famous actress that most of the cast members were afraid of working with her because she was a well-known actress. Right. And, Herman and all these people worried.
Well, Morticia still looked better than all of them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What was her name? Carolyn Jones?
Carolyn Jones.
No, yeah, she died. Poor lady, died. I think in the 50s. But you know something? There's been Tisha. It was from Ed Wood from Plan 9. Was it Planet 9 or whatever? The girl Vampira. So if you notice, Vampira, Morticia, Lily Monster. Now, Lily Monster originally, if you guys read anything about the monsters, was going to look like Morticia. But I guess they were afraid of getting sued. And I think they changed her around a little. But they kind of had, so, even Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, I think they all kept persona. And yes, I had the hots for Morticia too when I was young.
Oh, there's one you're leaving out here, was I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, forget her. She was the best.
I think they were these were sexual implications, trying to turn on little kids watching this stuff. I mean, they were really hot.
Yeah, she was.
No, I Dream of Jeannie is the hottest. When I met her in person, man, I was just looking at her, and this woman is such a phenomenal person. When I met her, her son had actually committed suicide a couple of months prior. And she was so nice that I said to her, do you mind if I film you? And she's like, no, it's fine. And I said to her, Jeannie, and I go, I'm sorry. She goes, oh, my name is Barbara Jean. But she let me stand in front of her about 2 feet away. And I was literally filming her for like 25 minutes. And she was so fine with that.
Well, she had that hot outfit on. And then she'd do anything. She would do anything to please her master. It was unbelievable. So you're like a little kid. This is perfect. She's beautiful. She's hot. She'll do anything I tell her. Oh, my God. I'm in love. So and then for the rest of your life, you'll be disappointed because you'll never find a genie.
No, I could understand one thing, though. Why did she marry that guy, Michael? He wasn't the greatest looking dude, man.
Oh. Well, did she marry the astronaut eventually? What's his name? Larry Hagen. Did she ever marry him in the show?
Yeah.
Larry Hagen. No,
I think toward the end maybe they got married, didn't they? Toward the last
season? They were supposed to, but I think something happened. They never did. I mean, I got the whole series.
Yeah.
They were scheduled. I think what happened was that she would marry him, she would lose her powers.
Oh, that's it.
Wait a minute. Did she have an evil sister with black hair?
Yeah, that was actually her playing both parts. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that was
that was kind of like in the Addams Family when Morticia's sister would visit. I can't remember her name. She was a blonde girl, but Carolyn Jones played the sister as well.
And same as Bewitched. Remember Elizabeth Montgomery?
Oh my God, she was hot too.
Yeah. You know what's crazy though? If you guys watch The Bad with Vincent Price, Agnes Moorehead, the one that plays the mom, she was pretty hot, man.
Oh no, she wasn't.
That's hard
I'm
to
talking
believe.
about
That's hard to believe.
Bad, way back.
No, she wasn't hot. She was in this weird movie with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, where Humphrey Bogart's he's like a gangster and he gets his face plastic surgery on his face.
I remember that.
And she rats him out. She rats him out to the cops. And there was some guy who was a really creepy guy, does the plastic surgery. And while he's doing the surgery, he's smoking a cigarette. It was unbelievable. Do you remember this movie, Chuck? Did you ever see it?
I do remember that.
because it's a Humphrey Bogart movie. It was unbelievable.
No, but I think Agnes Moorehead, when I'm saying that, I'm not trying to say she was like super hot, but I think she looked a little bit like Sophia Loren or Elizabeth Taylor when she was very young.
There's no way. Elizabeth Taylor was unbelievable when she was young.
Well,
she
what
just
about
was beautiful.
wait, what about the famous one that comic books were loaded with her? They did the 1 million BC.
Raquel Welch.
Oh, yeah.
That was something different. She was like a phenomenon.
No, well, here's one thing. Here's one thing, guys. I'm a big toe guy, okay? And I'm looking at Raquel
all this
Welch.
Weird stuff is coming out about Eddie.
A big toe guy. That's
I like
very
9
bad.
feet.
I hope his wife's not listening.
What is that?
No, but what I wanted to say is Raquel Welch, okay?
Yeah.
Always pretty, very sexy. I'm looking at her because I was watching some old where she's singing the song "This Blue."
That's Nancy Sinatra. You're getting confused.
No, Nancy, no, but also Raquel Welch also sang it. You can actually find it.
She was in 1 million BC. She's walking around with a bikini with
she
furry
was, but
bikini.
let me tell you,
and Eddie's worried about her toe.
No, she's got this bigger than the big one. I don't know.
This is getting weird here. I don't know.
And she was in Fantastic Voyage, wasn't she?
We should have put a disclaimer at the beginning: 18 and older for this episode.
Yeah, this is nuts.
Well, no, you had to see something. They were really focusing on teenage boys.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because what was the cousin in the Munster? What was her name? Marilyn.
Oh yeah, Marilyn. Look at that.
She was another one.
There was actually 2 Marilyns: Beverly Owens and Pat Priest. I believe Beverly Owens just passed away, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, on the Forbidden Planet, it was Honey West was on there. What was her name? She was really hot. The daughter on Forbidden Planet.
Oh, I can't remember her name. I know you're talking about. Leslie Nielsen was the captain. I can't remember.
Listen,
right.
What happened with the Monsters, though? The one that played Marilyn in the beginning, she quit because she was married or something, so she didn't want her life to be what she want. She quit acting.
Right.
Pat Priest. The reason Pat Priest has even today, Pat Priest is not. She could be an interesting person. I actually had like a little in that I personally don't like as I used to. But Pat Priest, her mom was the Secretary of Treasury for the United States under Kennedy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's why she it's just like a lot of people don't know. The guy who the monkeys, like hey, we're the monkeys. The guy with the little cap that he always wore the cap, his mom is the one that invented whiteout.
Oh, that was Mike. Yeah. He was a wealthy guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times that's why when you see conventions, the monkeys, all the guys will be there except him. And then I did get to see all 4 of them in Chiller one time.
Wait, 2 of them passed away, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, 2 of them just recently passed away. That is correct. But the one thing I'm going to tell you, though, that the thing that with Pat Priest that got me is that Pat Priest goes to a convention and then she's not happy if you take her photograph. And you're paying. Are you kidding me, man? I had it was funny. It was me and Jim were standing in line and I had kind of like an in with her and I find this photo and the way you are, I felt like ripping it. I told her 10% of the way I like, because The Monsters is one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, right.
So I was kind of disappointed with that because some actors are out there and they have a big following with people. People like them.
Yeah.
And you would think they'd be better people. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
Well, I don't know.
Maybe hey guys, I'm gonna have to butt in here because we are coming down to the bottom of the podcast here, so we're gonna have to wrap things up. I know we got a little bit of weird at the end, but hey, that's.
Wait a minute. We didn't get to talk about Star Trek.
We got to talk about big toes and all that.
Yeah, I'm looking at my big toe here. I don't know.
So hey, let's
this
wrap
is going to be your biggest show ever.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up real quick. So I want to say thank you to all of our listeners and subscribers out there. Tune in every week. The podcast comes out on Thursday mornings real early, a little bit after midnight. Also, make sure you check us out on YouTube, subscribe to our channels, and like our videos. And don't forget to visit us on houseoftheunusual.com. We have that great forum site there. We have a blog there. There's always some new stuff popping up. So, hey, jump on there and start talking with us. And if you want to be a part of our podcast and you got something to say, drop us a line and let us know, and we will get you on. as soon as we can, because we are doing this weekly and we love what we do. So again, we want to thank Chuck and Dr. Roberto for joining us. And
one thing
thank you.
Quick, Joe, let me just
No big toes.
Next week we're gonna have Mike on right before Halloween, and we'll probably bring back the doctor there so we can talk about Star Trek.
All right, and we're gonna that's gonna be our Halloween issue next week. So we are gonna talk about sci-fi and horror, and we're gonna talk about some monster. Well, actually, not monster, but more of Halloween memories of past. So we got 10 seconds here. So I want to say thank you to everybody out there. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you next time. Good night.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
Good night. God bless, guys.